Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60andMe. Just got back from a cruise and I've done videos on the cruise. It was an MSC cruise to Mediterranean cruise. It was really lovely and I learned something so interesting on that cruise. I wanted to share with you a couple of thoughts about solo travel. Now, a lot of women in our community are either with partners who don't want to travel or just got a different energy about them. And I think I talked about this in other videos, that a lot of times men will want to just relax during retirement and just kind of have a break and physically relax, and women are like, okay, where can I go? Where's my bucket list of places to travel and visit? So we get a lot of questions about, solo travel. Do I know any companies that are doing good solo travel? Because a lot of people want to solo travel in a group. And I think that's the difference. There's two kind of styles of solo travel: on your own, completely doing your thing, or solo within a group. And so I want to, kind of talk first of all about just solo travel and what I learned on this cruise. It was so fascinating. Now, this ship was called the MSC SE View, and it was a huge ship. It was the largest ship I've ever been on. 5,000 people, passengers, and about 1,500 crew. 5,000. Now, it was a big ship, 20 decks and lots of accommodation, two big restaurant buffet areas. So it was well equipped. I mean, I found so many opportunities to be alone on the deck. It was, most people ate their meals in the dining room. I ate mine on the deck. I always had lots of space. I never felt crowded, and it was very, very interesting that, when you looked at like the deck, I was sitting there at my table with my food. Yeah, the wind was blowing. I put a beret on. I had my hat on. I was sitting out there, and they were inside, but crowded. And I was outside, like, okay, and the breeze was blowing. I could see the scenery and the sunsets, and there were just lots of places on the ship like that where you could find quiet space, and then there were places where you could be super crowded. Anyway, I went to the front desk and I said, I'm just curious how many people are on this ship solo, like, traveling on their own, staying in a cabin by themselves. Could be a sea view. It could be I was in an inside cabin, at least expensive, and just by themselves. And the woman, Serena, her name was, she said, I don't know. That's a really interesting question. So she did some research, and that night she called me back. So I did some research, and guess how many people are on this 5,000 capacity ship? And it was full. The ship was full, traveling solo. 81 out of 5,000. The majority were twos. 3 in a cabin, 4 in a cabin, 5 in a cabin. There were, there were groups, families, but there were only 81 people like me. And I must admit, I personally never saw another person just sitting by themselves eating. I mean, there were some people that would sit alone eating and then somebody would join them. I mean, people were, it wasn't like there was never people by themselves. It was really, really cool. So it made me think. Several things happened in this cruise about solo travel and tips for being confident and safe in a solo travel environment. Now, I did lots of things that I've talked about before, some of them, and I'll just review them in detail, because I just really, this trip, discovered the things that worked for me. Now, first of all, I did travel light, and that had two benefits. One was that, well, I just didn't need that many clothes. I took 2 pairs of trousers and like 5 tops, a big vest, like what do you call it? A fleece vest. I wore that thing almost every day. If there was one outfit that I wore, it was that top with, I had different color tops underneath, but it was so useful. I didn't have to wear my coat. I could just wear the fleece. So I would highly recommend that on a cruise or anywhere that you're going outside in the in-between seasons. This was in October. So, but that was like the one item. So I traveled light. I didn't use packing cubes. I was going to, but I discovered rolling my clothes was just as efficient as a packing cube, and I was able to squeeze things in the sides. I have a Samsonite luggage, a suitcase. It's very cool because it's got 2, on each side is a zipper. So the zipper on this side, zipper on this side. I put all my stuff, like my makeup and my cables and all that kind of stuff that's like not clothes, on one side. And I always take like a little like a little pack of goodies, like tape. I take magnets, because you can put, most ships have got magnetic wool, so you can take little magnetic hooks and hang things like my jewelry. I don't take maybe 5 different pieces, like necklaces and things. Nothing on today. I got my crystal sweater. I took these buttons off of the other coat or the sweater, and replace them with these sparkly ones. I like it. Anywho, so yeah, so I did that, and so that was on one side of the suitcase, and the other side of the suitcase was my clothes. And I had 2 pairs of pants, 5 t-shirts, 1 fleece top, 2 scarves. I think that was it. Now, I didn't dress up. I didn't have fancy shoes. I didn't have a dress or two. There was a couple of nights on the ship where there was a white night where everybody wore white, and another night that was literally dress up. And you really only needed to do that if you wanted to meet the captain, which is what that night was all about, the captain's ball. So you don't have to participate in all these things if you don't want to. So pack light and efficiently, that was my thing. Light carry-on suitcase. I wheeled my suitcase all the way through the check-in. I didn't have to put a tag on it. I didn't have to check it in and have it delivered to my room. It was so light, I just carried it everywhere. And I took it right to my room, went in, and it was done. Another thing I don't know whether you can check on is I was fast-tracked this time. I don't know why. I think it was random. But if you can get fast-tracked on the check-in on a cruise particularly, or a group travel, do that, because that really made a big difference. So in terms of safety, I actually was very careful. I wore I don't have it with me, my crossbody bag. And in that bag, I had everything. My passport, my, everything, a comb, little pieces of paper with my addresses on it, a little extra supply of my important medications. I had my phone, of course, a couple of credit cards. I only took 2 credit cards. And I'll tell you what I do actually with my credit cards, which is another thing for safety, and I do this regularly now. And then what else was there? A little bit of some lipstick, a little bit of makeup, like just a tiny bit of foundation in those little packets you can get. Just enough that if I lost everything in my crossbody bag, I would have all I needed, and that was so light and so easy. I wore that pretty much the whole time. I mean, there was nowhere I went where I didn't have that on me. And it was just nice. So that was from a safety perspective. I don't have any safety devices, like any whistles or personal alarms or anything like that. I think if I was going to a city like by myself, I might have something, pepper spray or something, because it's getting more serious. You got to watch out for your phones. Maybe I would have a connection, like one of those strings for my phone to put around my neck. Lots of things. In my carry-on, I've got a little teeny weeny charger. It's only about this big. I can tell you where I got it if you're interested, because it was so useful. No, I don't have it nearby. I would show you. So that was the next thing. The other thing to do, and I did have a couple of hotel stays before in Genoa, and then at the end I had to stay because of the train schedules and stuff. And one thing I did this time, which was really, really helpful, well, I do it all the time in a way, is I check for hotels near the station. Train stations are notoriously in not very nice parts of town. Well, I say very nice. It's just that they're rough. They're just rougher. There's more people coming and going and wanting like an overnight stay, and it's just a little bit less suburban. So I got my hotel in Genoa was literally 3 minutes from the station, and then the ISIS at the end was ISIS? Was near the. Anyway, it was another budget line that at the end was the same, very, very close. I mean, literally walking distance. But I think that's the thing, is to have that safety in mind. Research, do your research. This is the thing, you can research and look at the reviews. Always look at the reviews when you're looking on booking.com or wherever you are. I don't do Airbnbs anymore. Personally, I don't. I don't find they're that much less expensive. I find they're usually not in like right near. For me, I don't go to stay in hotels like for a 3 or 4, 5, 6 day. I normally am passing through, and one night is all I need. So that's just my style. Another thing to consider is groups. Now, there's a group that we used for 60 and me. Actually, we actually had a little group of people go to Spain last year with Globus, Cosmos, Intrepid, GA Adventures. There's all kinds of them now that are doing solo offers. Passion for Cruises does solo cruises, or they do pricing for solos on cruises. I don't know how they make any money actually after looking at the numbers of solo people that go on cruises. But anyway, another thing is to make sure you've got your passport all up to date and all those things. I mean, I've talked about all these things before, but the most important thing I think I did this time was I was super aware of my surroundings, even on the ship. And it's kind of like a little checklist routine that when I sit down, I look who's behind me, who's around me, and I'm always expecting the unexpected. Now, I know that sounds a little bit paranoid, and I don't mean it to, but I think you've got to be cat-like. You've got to be really, really alert and anticipate things. And on a cruise, it's a little bit more protected because, well, people are just there to have fun most of the time. No one's going to be trying to steal your stuff. Although someone did steal a scarf of mine one time. That was really annoying because I left it on a chair in the restaurant and then it was gone. I consider that stealing. Because I went to Lost and Found and no, they just took it. And why would you do that? You know, my favorite scarf, that floral one, yeah, it's gone. Anywho, you know, I think the final thing is to, you know, do your research, connect with locals, get your guide for adventures, and like hop on buses, all those things. You can buy them usually on the bus, but I always go now to Get Your Guide, which is an online app. Perfect. So those are a couple of things that I've done for solo travel, and I'm going to start coughing in a minute and I have to stop. I'm going to say goodbye. I've got this tickle in my throat and it makes me cough. But I want you to know that I hope these were helpful tips for you. Safe travels, everyone.